good thing I did that, because it was at 10 minutes already, so, and I only got through like a third of my list, so I'll try to go a little faster, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I know you are, you're so motivated that you always have something that you're doing, and I love that about you. By the way, madam, you called me 22 when I was still 21 in your video, and it was only March 24th. So, you broke your own rule. So, anyway, I had to get that little dig in. And I'm glad that you finally acknowledged that when I'm 3 days away from my birthday, I'm technically a year further older. So, I found your comment on dignity, and so you were saying you may not go to the Thompsons that night because you have dignity about how your face looks. You're like, I have dignity, Katie. I don't know if that's how you look, but I tried. So, yeah, you know what I meant to do? I meant to look up dignity and look up pride and see how similar, you love me. See how similar the definitions were, and I didn't. But I have a feeling they're pretty much the same, and I think that you know that too. So, that's why we're reading the humility book, right? Because we're both full of pride, and bottom line is, you know what I think about that. Like, to me, there's other way more important things than how I look. Now, I don't know, if I looked really, really, like if I can't think of a reason why I wouldn't go to a friend's house. So, that's just me, but you already know that about me. See, the reason that I don't go to friends' houses is because I don't feel like socializing. It's not because of how I look or whatever. So maybe you didn't feel like socializing, which I am fine with. I'm biased, I know. And all that stuff about your license and how long you had it. When you went into the next video, I was not thinking, what, Val? Like you said, you're probably thinking, what, Val? About all that license stuff and how you had your license for 3 years, so somehow that makes you an adult. I forgot all about it. I know what you mean. I know. Let's just end it there. Yeah, and you mentioned how many opportunities that you've had over the years, and, I want to take this opportunity to say that I agree. I think God has really blessed our family as well in that. I mean, I've moved 7 times. I've been to probably over half the United States. I haven't ever really added it up, but when I was 15, we went to all these states for Teen Pact. I learned so much, saw so many state capitals. Before we even lived here, we got to drive to Colorado once, and to Idaho once, Grand Canyon. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon? So there's all these things that I've gotten to do, and it just reminded me of that. I wanted to thank you for saying that because it helped me to be thankful. So I am thankful. Sorry. I heard something. But it's fine. So do you notice less acne on your face these days? Like, that was a month ago, right? So tell me, you see any changes? Are these treatments working? Interested in knowing. Oh, speaking of acne, my mom sent me a million emails about acne, so I might forward them to you. She and I were talking about the other day, because like I told you, I stopped doing makeup for a while, just to see if it was gonna affect anything, and it didn't, so I'm doing it again. I don't have any on today because I was just home all day, but I'm really blanking. I feel like I'm on those drugs again where I forget stuff. Anyway, so my mom sent me all these emails on acne, and some of them sound like really cheap alternatives to try. So I'll forward some to you once I actually go over them. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just feeling really tired all of a sudden. Okay, has Mango been biting you lately? Because I was really rude of Mango. I was kind of mad at Mango. But she's just a bird. And I heard them screeching in the background in your video. I kept laughing. And then you're like, the birds are nice and quiet. And I'm thinking, no, they weren't that quiet. I heard them screeching. I say we hit Australia after we hit France. What do you say? That was a great idea. Down under. Alright, you asked what I thought about the Grace card. And I'm trying to remember what I thought about it. I really liked it for one. I already told you, but I have rarely cried that much in a movie. I tend to get teary-eyed, but never, like, hardly ever, tears streaming down my face, and that was happening the entire movie almost. I think I cried more than I've cried in a long time. So, it was a good movie. It was very moving. The acting was really realistic. There were a couple things I didn't like about it. Trying to think. Okay, number one, I don't like Toby Mac, so I wasn't really moved by his singing in it, but that's just a minor thing. That's the stupid thing that I didn't like, and that just is a preference. Two, I felt like the counselor, she was just a little strange. I thought she was a little rude to the boy. I don't think that. I just can't see Jesus treating someone like that, like being all tough with them. And that's hard for me to say because I like to be that way. I like to be tough with people and just be like, let's just spit it out. Let's just have it out here, But, I mean, Jesus was very direct, but he was always kind, except to the religious leaders. He was always kind, though, to everybody else. So, I just can't picture him being a counselor and treating the boy like that. I don't know. I mean, it worked, so in our minds now, all these Christians are thinking, well, it worked. But that's the pragmatic way to look at it. Pragmatic is not always the best. I mean, it's good to have a pragmatic mind in a sense, but you can overstep that. To make a long story short, I didn't really care for her. I thought that they could have done that part a little differently. And as it is, counselors are already highly thought of in the Christian community, and really what people need to hear is the gospel truth. They don't need to talk about their problems for 2 hours and then all this psychobabble is what it's called, and just like talk about all the ways they can fix things. No, what people need is the gospel, is what I believe. So, talking about this and he said, she said, da 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 da. Okay, I'm not trying to be rude. Sometimes you do need to talk about your problems, but there needs to be the ending with the gospel, which I thought. I can't remember the movie that well. She might have said something about the gospel, but I can't remember. But I just didn't really like her. So, and then the last thing, I only didn't like 3 things, which is pretty rare. The last thing I didn't like was that the black guy seemed very strong in his faith in the beginning and stuff, but he'd go home and he'd be all doubtful, and his wife was the strong one. She knew all the answers. And I'm not saying that wives shouldn't help their husbands. They should. And their husbands are going to go through doubtful times, but I think it was really marked in the film that the wife was almost stronger spiritually than her husband. I mean, it was her idea to pray. It's just little things, Val. It's little things. Our culture wants to undermine masculinity and promote feminism. That is because that's the opposite of what God wants. So our culture always wants the opposite of what God wants. And so I just wanted to say that I think there was a little bit of that in the movie. I could be crazy. I could not be. So, anyway, that was my opinion. I think that a little bit of that Hollywood snuck in there. Just a little. I mean, it wasn't blatant. It wasn't obvious, so that's the most dangerous kind. When something isn't obvious, that's the most danger. Because it's not obvious, and you're taking it in without thinking, and so it influences you without you thinking. And I never want to get to the point where I'm just taking things in without realizing what I'm taking in. So to me, it's really, really important to try to discern what's going on in a movie and why they put this part, why they put this line, why they did this and that. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. And I've bugged a lot of people being that way, so I keep it to myself for the most part now, but not with you. I tell you everything. So I think I need to do another movie. So goodbye again.